For those saying we need to give guns to school teachers, did you know that there was an armed deputy assigned to the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School? Deputy Scot Peterson had a gun but stayed outside. Here's a press conference about Scot Peterson, the school resource deputy that was supposed to be protecting the school with his gun.
In the case of Scot Peterson, our school resource deputy, I want to clarify any rumors, conjecture, or stories that have been out there. Scot Peterson was absolutely on campus through this entire event. He was armed, he was in uniform. After seeing video, witness statements, and Scot Peterson's very own statement, I decided this morning to suspend Scot Peterson without pay, pending an internal investigation. As is his right, Scot Peterson chose to resign because he has the necessary time with the agency and meets the requirements of retirement. He resigned and retired. The investigation will continue. We're not going to disclose the video at this time, and we may never disclose the video, depending on the prosecution and the criminal case. But what I saw was a deputy arrive at the west side of Building 12, take up a position, and he never went in. Any questions?
Sheriff, some are saying that he hid inside a classroom, so that's not accurate.
That's not accurate.
He was outside the building the entire time.
Yes.
There's a discussion about Coral Springs went in first. Can you address that?
I don't know I know people got there, deputies got there. There was a time I know Coral Springs deputies were in there acting heroically. I believe by the time the first Coral Springs police officer went in there, the killer was off premises. I know we had deputies clearly inside pulling bodies out. I don't know at this time. It's, as I said, a fluid investigation. So we'll see what happens.
So there's information that maybe BSO told Coral Springs, don't go in until SWAT gets here. Can you address that?
I've never heard that.
What was Scot Peterson, was he there when the shooter was still inside the building?
Yes, he was.
And so what should he have done?
Went in, addressed the killer, killed the killer.
Interesting question.
Sheriff, can you tell us, in this log of interactions or phone calls that you received about Nicholas Cruz, it states that the Stoneman Douglas School Resource Officer was made aware of a threat that Cruz would shoot up the school. Did he act on that? What should he have done?
I'm flanked by two of the best leaders this county could have, Colonel Jack Hale of Investigations and Colonel Jim Poland of the Department of Law Enforcement. I'm going to bring Colonel Dale up.
Now you're asking about a prior incident from this first.
Exactly right. This is from February 5th of 2016. Is this Officer or Deputy Peterson that's referenced here? This is information received from a neighbor's son that Nicholas Cruz plans to shoot up the school on Instagram, and later it says the information was forwarded to the Stoneman Douglas School Resource Officer.
It was forwarded, but we do not have a record of the information that was forwarded at this time.
Should he have done more in this case? What's the protocol when a school resource officer gets that type of information?
That I can't say at this time.
What are these other two deputies that have been placed on restricted administrative assignment? What was their role in the response to the shooting, and why have they been placed on this administrative assignment? What is that?
The information we provided are all stem from prior incidents before the shooting and what led up to that, dating back to 2008 and all the responses that we had either to the residents or is somehow related to Cruz or his brother. So I know it's been discussed in the media of us responding 23 times during prior instances. And in the ones here, they predate, all of them predate the shooting. So in 2 cases, we found instances where there was information provided. It's unclear as to whether a policy violation occurred or not. So we feel at this point that they deserve extra scrutiny and to be reviewed and investigated to see if there was any policy violation on the part of the deputies involved.
So these 2 restricted administrative assignments are due to calls from the call center?
Prior calls to
and possibly not protocol being followed, possible.
Possible.
Yes.
Thanks, Mike.
Yes.
Sheriff. Kerry, before, I wanted to get back to your question before. Who arrived first? Coral Springs, Fort Lauderdale was there. There were obviously the Broward Sheriff's Office. There were a lot of agencies there, federal, state, and local. It doesn't matter who went in first. It doesn't matter in what order you went in. What matters is that when we in law enforcement arrive at an active shooter, we go in and address the target. And that's what should have been done. And if we find out, or anybody were to find out that any officer or deputy got to an active shooter building and did exactly go in, that would be something we would absolutely look at.
Well, you're
Sheriff, has Deputy Peterson given any indication why he didn't go?
No.
Was there a lack of communication between Coral Springs and BSO on that day?
What do you mean by
A lack of communication between the 2 police departments?
Not to my knowledge.
From the video that you have, Peterson is outside. Can you tell us how long this is unfolding while he's out there? Is he the only deputy that's out there for a time while this is happening? I mean, how much time went by that he did not go in, that he could have gone in and filmed?
Minutes. I think it was upwards. I think he remained outside for upwards of 4 minutes.
And the shooting lasted 6 minutes?
Correct.
What was the actual shooting begin? Did he arrive in the building?
Probably about a minute and a half. Vita will get you those exact numbers, but probably about a minute and a half after the shots were fired.
Do you know where he was when the shots initially were fired and where he ended up outside of that building?
I believe he's in one of the offices dealing with a school-related issue with one of the female student, and I think somebody else might have been in there.
So not very far from the freshman building.
I don't know. I don't know.
What is he seen doing on the video?
Nothing.
Phone calls, sending emails, nothing?
He went on his, I think he got on his radio at a point in time, and he took up a position where it looked like he could see the westernmost entry into the building and stay where it was.
He clearly knew there was a shooting.
Clearly.
Sheriff, what would you say to families? You're now saying this deputy who was on campus stood there outside as somebody was shooting inside this high school.
Devastated, sick to my stomach. There are no words. I mean, these families lost their children. We lost coaches. I've been to the funerals. I've been to the homes where they sit and shiver. I've been to the vigils. It's just, there are no words.
So, Sheriff, just to clarify, you believe when you said that the shooter was still inside the building?
Absolutely. Thank you.
What did you share in the statement?
Sheriff, are there guns, the rifles, were those in schools today?